Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. I guess that's okay. Bring this up. Hello, Wookie. Happy Sunday, guys. Been quite a weekend. We had the 4th of July and had a pig roast this weekend. Didn't feel like doing much. Didn't do many videos this week. I didn't do any videos for the last week and a half because, well, I just wanted to take advantage of the holiday weekend and kind of forget about the angst of Mgtow for a while. You know, sometimes when you're real deep into it and then you got to pull away and just, do what you need to do for yourself and kind of enjoy life and everything. But the news seems to bring you back all the time. You turn on the news and you see articles. Gynocentrism on display is going to be the topic for today. I guess my son. Let's start off with the Sunday. Go your own way, men. Go your own way. All your sins from the past are forgiven because we know better now. We know better now. So gynocentrism on display. Sometimes when we look at articles, we'll see articles like woman steal. Well, it's always man at store steals and a woman stole at the store and then the man gets blamed for it. Something like that. We see she's with a male and also the male is blamed for the crimes and whatever happens. It's gynocentrism in the news. Whatever, if there's a male involved, even though he didn't steal or he didn't do the crime, his face will end up being plastered on the news. And I just wanted to put this. I didn't really want to do an article, but it just sometimes you have to take a look at these things and see them for what they are. Let me screen share this, and then I'll click on that, and I'll share, and then we'll move to the page where I seen this U.S. airman charged with allegedly helping an Ohio woman kill her husband. That's his face right there. Let me see how that's coming out. Yeah, you can see it. I can clear plus that if you can't see it. It's probably, I don't know what's coming out on the screen. But this guy's face is plastered all over the news. And, well, let's see what happens here. A U.S. airman was arrested and charged over the week with it allegedly, you notice they put that word allegedly, helping an Ohio woman kill her husband. I suppose he was an airman at Wright-Patterson. That's the closest base to me right here, and it's Wright-Patterson. And Tech Sergeant Michael Clark was charged with conspiracy to commit aggravated murder Saturday in the death. This guy, see, I can't make clear. I read 3 articles on here. I can't make clear if we'll get down to that and thing. Saturday in the death of 42-year-old Jason Hamrick, who was found in a ditch outside of his home last week, according to police. Hamrick's wife, Angela Hamrick, 32, so she's 10 years younger than 32. He's 33. And the first face that appears in here is his face. And I'm wondering, well, he wasn't married to the guy. It wasn't his house. The wife was married to the husband. Now, from the inception of this article, it should read more like Ohio woman charged with killing husband, allegedly helped by 32-year-old airman. That's the way that it should read. But it doesn't read that. It reads, in all the articles that I find, U.S. airman charged with allegedly helping a woman, a poor woman, because she couldn't possibly have done this on her own. Well, from my standpoint here, what goes on in these things is she's married to this husband. He's the boyfriend. She brings him in as a thug enforcer, and then she plans the murder and gets by proxy help to do it. Everything about this thing should read, Ohio woman kills husband helped by U.S. In her picture should be first. Now there she is. She's a very unattractive woman, skinny, kind of pale looking. I'm just, that's Angela Hamrick. Both of these are scheduled to be arraigned. Both of them are scheduled to be arraigned, when up here it clearly says that he was charged with allegedly he was involved with this. So they have no really evidence on this guy, but allegedly the husband ends up dead of this woman. But the news spins it as this is the main culprit right here. He's the airman. Even when you look at the thumbnail up here, it doesn't have the Ohio woman on the thumbnail. It has the airman on the thumbnail. And the whole narrative is spun right here. U.S. airman charged with allegedly helping an Ohio woman, like she's a second party to this. No, she was. Let's get back off of this thing, and we'll talk about gynocentrism the way it exists in reality, not in the way they. Let me stop this. Let me stop the screen share here so you can see my pretty face. I know. So I would fuck me. So the way it's written in the news is like she's party to this this secondary in the party, and then the way I see these things play out in courts and everything is he'll actually get more time than her. When she planned it, it was her husband. She's probably been planning this for a long time. I have to close this thing out. They get these little blue block up in the corner now that you have to close out. It's one of those little warning messages that they're going to stop doing Google Hangouts. So when the news reads this, and this gets kind of irritating in the news because it's always that way. If two people in a store and a woman steals, the article will read, boyfriend steals in store, and the woman will have it in her pocket, and the boyfriend somehow he's more responsible, he's more guilty, he's more of a target for the media narrative on that. Somehow, if a male's involved, now I'm sure that this was the boyfriend. She wanted out of the marriage. Wouldn't it have been easier just unless and this is what we say, never get married unless she had a boyfriend. She was looking at some losses here, a loss of her house. And they were planning like, oh, if we get rid of him and he's got an insurance policy, I get the house, I get the insurance policy, we get to live happily ever after. And all we got to do is kill him. Hello, Riff. Hello, Cyber Monk and everything. We're talking about gynocentrism in the news. And I showed the article. If you want to go back and take a look, it was a Ohio woman. It wasn't even, it was the way they display these things is U.S. airman, kills. They displayed it as he was the main culprit in this, and she was just some incidental factor in his extreme desire and greed. And that narrative almost, it just kills me every time when I look at it. Like, no, she was married to him. She wanted him out of the way. There was probably insurance money. She wants the home. She wants everything. She wants her boyfriend to move in, and she wants him dead. She is the main culprit, but somehow the news never reads that way. It drives me nuts when I see this in the news. And we all know the way gynocentrism, and we all know what gynocentrism is. It's the propensity to err on the side of a woman. That goes both ways. If in court they'll err on the side of her, she will get less time, he'll get more time, and the propensity for any male in the court system, and even the basic court systems, the way they're set up, he should get attempted aggravated murder or conspiracy to commit attempted aggravated murder or something like that, some lesser charge if he was involved with this, because the obvious of it was that she was the main culprit in this, but they can't say that in the news. They can't say that in the news. Why can't they say that in the news? Why can't they just print it like it actually is? Ohio woman kills husband with help from U.S. airmen. And that's the way it should read. That's the way it factually should read. But seems since logic is out the door in the news anymore, and that goes back to the Ayers case. It goes back to George Bush's first thing. You always look at what a president does when he's in his first term. The first thing he does, and the first thing he does is he sided with the George Bush in the Supreme Court. Decided that. There doesn't have to be any news, and there doesn't have to be any truth in the news anymore. It's opinion news, and you can just state your opinion how you want. Before George Bush Jr., you had to have some truth, and they had to read right, and there was a logic that had to be displayed in these articles, and that logic is out the door now. There is no logic displayed. If you read this article and you were just breezing through it, you would think an U.S. airman planned and organized and killed some lady's husband just because she was so damn attractive that he had to have her. And that's not the way it was, and that's not the way it was at all. Hello, Stop Yelling. Hello, Riff, my friend. Hello, RP. Hello, Kevin. Hello, Father No. Hello, Wookiee Lives Matter. Love that name. And that's gynocentrism, and it's the propensity to err on the side of the woman, even if she's wrong. Now, years and years ago, I think Angry Harry and Man-Woman Myth does a lot of great articles about how the news will side on the side of a woman. They'll make it look like the man did it. And like you say, anything that comes up on the news, if there's a male involved, even if it's a preteen male, a pre-adult male, a teen, they're going to blame it on that guy. He's going to get the picture that's going to be first will be the male, and then we've even seen this in rape cases and stuff where if the boy turns 18 and then there was charges before that, his face will go up, her face will disappear, and then it'll be like he was somehow involved with that, and he wasn't raped by the teacher and stuff like that. It's always the propensity to err on the side of it, and it gets old. We have to look at the way our court systems work and everything. And if they do this in the news, anytime you go to court, anytime a male is more guilty, and he's more guilty because he's more responsible, because they really don't have agency. They'll say they have agency, but they really don't have agency. I wanted to talk about that this week sometime too. I was in an argument with someone at this week, and then the thing was, it was about abortion and pregnancy and all that stuff. And you know how I feel about that. We're not fathers. Father's just a name and everything. But the way they present it was he got her pregnant, or you're going to be tortured by the state because you got her pregnant. And that's really not true. A fully strong, emotional, secure female would have agency. It's her decision to get pregnant. It's her choice. She has the right to abort. She has the right to keep the baby. She has the right not to take the baby home. Moses laws. She decides when she opens her leg. There's yes means yes. There's a ton of laws in between that. Yes means yes. There's rape laws. There's everything everything is to inhibit the male from actually getting her pregnant. And when it comes down to the court or fatherhood, you know how fast fatherhood is stripped from men. Fatherhood is not a real thing because a judge in a millisecond can strip fatherhood from a man. So we know it's not real. It's not a real thing. You're not a father. She just takes a genetic duplicate. She duplicates the genetic mirror, and she duplicates it and she puts it into the genetic. It's like a snapshot almost. So, but her agency is all that's such a big, it bothers me because when women say this, he made me pregnant, it removes all agency from them. Like they didn't open their leg. They didn't have the choice to abort. They didn't have the choice to leave the child at a hospital. And they most certainly didn't have the choice to give the give the baby to the male, which makes a better parent anyways. And but now he's held in slavery. Four of our constitutional rights get overturned every time you go into a divorce court or a child agency court. Four of your rights get thrown out the door because she all of a sudden, which has several laws backing up, and the strong girl, and she has agency over her body, and it's her right to choose and her right to say no, and yes means yes and no means no, and she can abort and she can leave the baby at the hospital, and she will never be ever asked another question. But they'll go find that father and say, you made that baby, when really, actuality, she had no agency. She spread her legs. Right. It was 100% her choice, 100% her responsibility. And fatherhood is not a real thing, because the judge they'll take that from you in a millisecond. You'll go before that court and they'll say, no, you're no longer the father. What you are is the original meaning of father, which is pater from the German and Latin. And it means pay or. It means you're going to be, and today, payer means payer terminal. You become the payer terminal because she has no agency. And then you're going to get double taxed on that. You're going to get double taxed because she doubly has no one, and the government doesn't want to take responsibility for the lie they're telling you. They've already pre-taxed you. You're already pre-cucked. I say that all the time, and I don't mean that as an insult. It means you're paying taxes, and $1.2 trillion of those taxes is going to health and human services that should be distributed among the women. And then they're going to child agencies, and they're going, well, she'll get her share, but we want it back from you. We want it back from you, even though you were taxed originally for that. Now you're going to be double taxed. You're going to be double taxed by child support. That's what makes child support unconstitutional. Because if we're looking at taxation without representation or some of those laws and everything, double taxing you is illegal because she has no agency. And that's the way gynocentrism works. This poor little girl that killed her husband, oh, the poor little girl, she was probably manipulated by this mean old serviceman. He had much more agency. He is much more responsible. You know why he's much more responsible? Because the truth is, we have to be much more responsible because we're freaking men. And it starts to get old. It starts to get irritating. And when you're a Mgtow, you see these things every single day. Every single day I open that thing. And I don't want to do Mgtow every day. I always said that if I don't have to be a Mgtow, I would have never became a Mgtow. But I have to be a Mgtow. And there's real reasons why we do what we do here. Because we have to be Mgtows. Hey, man, I wish I could go out every day and just be a normal guy and not have to worry about all the bullshit that comes in life. I wish that I wish that someone's not going to make me into a slave. I wish that I wouldn't become a payer to somebody. I wish women would take responsibility for their own choices in life. But they won't. And the government will subsidize that. And then they'll double subsidize it at the expense of double taxing every one of you guys. Because they don't get it. They're like the news that spun that article. U.S. How does that even make sense? A U.S. airman is being charged with aggravated murder because he helped her kill the husband. It was her husband. It wasn't his husband. She brought him into the house. She employed him as a thug by proxy. Killer. She did it. She decided she didn't want a divorce. She decided she wanted to keep the house. She decided there was an insurance policy there worth killing him for. And then all she had to do is go get a boyfriend. And then every simp, and I want to swear bad right now, and I want to call them things much. I hear this all around Mgtow. Oh man, we shouldn't call men simps and white knights and beggars. No, that guy's a simp. And if I could on YouTube, I would call him a bunch of expletives that would curl your freaking hair. So simp is about light when I talk about it. That guy was a white knight. That guy was a by proxy thug. But there's no reason for his name to be first on there and his picture to be first. She planned it. But the little ladies, they got no agency. They got no responsibility. I'm going to watch this case. I put a look up in that case. I put a notice. If that case goes up, and it'll come up, it's close to me, so I can watch it. I can watch it. It'll probably go to the Dayton court system, so I'm pretty close to that. And I can watch how this thing, and I'll bet you 10-1, he'll get more time than her. And then by the time this is through, I'll bet you she'll get out within 7 years. Because I see it happen all the time. And that's the gynocentric narrative playing out. She couldn't have possibly did that on her own. There's some dickhead ass judge up there that, oh, look at the poor little girl. She couldn't have possibly did that on her own. That bad man helped her. That bad man forced her to do it. No, he didn't. She went out, she got a lover. She planned it. She executed it. It was her husband, and everything points to her. And it's clear she should get the rest of her life in jail. But she probably won't. She probably won't. I'll watch it as it goes. But I can see how the way they're spending it already. Gynocentrism plays out. It doesn't just play out in these huge monumental things. We explain gynocentrism in here as when we see it in these huge monumental things. But this happens every day of your life. This happens when you're standing in line at a convenience store. If that simp-ass cashier, that male cashier, he would go right over you to take care of her first. And I've had that happen when me and a female walk up at the same time and I'm slightly ahead of her. That cashier will look straight dead at that woman and go, come on up. You just stand over there. I'll take care of you later. And gynocentrism plays out. It plays out at work. It plays out, you'll get to lift the boxes. She'll get to watch you lift the boxes. She ain't going to lift no heavy things. She doesn't have to do the work that you have to do, but she'll get the same amount of pay as you. It plays out in the stores. It plays out in our life. It plays out in the news. It plays out in the courts. Where doesn't this thing play out? I mean, if I went to the pool, it would play out in the pool. If you go to the beach, it plays out at the beach. Everywhere you go, unless you're a Mgtow and you start putting those things away, unless you take what's yours. If I'm in line first, I get taken care of first, or else I start pointing and yelling. And I'll be the first one to say, I'm not a father. Take responsibility, take agency for what you did, what your decisions were to spread your legs, and then we'll talk afterwards. Whew. Man, in life, unless Mgtows start forcing the issue, I mean, really forcing the issue on these things, nothing's going to get done. You'll get in a traffic accident and she's not going to get a ticket because somehow, even if she ran straight into the side of you and tried to kill you, it won't be her fault. And I've seen that on the road too. I hear this garbage all the time that women are better drivers. No, women cause more accidents because they do stupid things on the road and then they drive away and then the police won't charge them. We just had this in our town last year when I started bitching about having to ride my bike. That's when I bought my camera for my bike. And I almost got ran over. And the silly woman that ran the stop sign looked dead and she says, "You didn't have to yell at me. You almost killed me. I'm up on her hood. She almost kills me, but I didn't have to yell at her. I don't have to be so mean about that. She ran through a freaking stop sign." And I'm sure if I would have called the police and made an issue, they would have said, "Mister, what were you doing laying on the top of her hood?" Because most cops are punk ass gynocentric bitches. That's what Shining would say. They're white knights. And white knights and gynocentrism go hand in hand. It's like peanut butter and jelly. The world likes to eat that kind of sandwiches. The sandwich reference, I know. Sooner or later, though, they're gonna say the sandwich reference is misogyny. Make me a sandwich. That's a pure gynocentric sandwich I see there. The white knight and gynocentrism and the, oh, poor little girls. And I see it in the news every single day. And I don't want to look at that. You know what I'd rather look at? Boy and dog go fishing and catch a 10-pound fish. That's what I want to read. I want to read happy news. John Smith pulled out 6 walleyes out of Lake Erie, all 24 inches long. Happy news. But day in and day out, I got to get this garbage served to me every time I turn on a computer or every time I turn on a TV, and if I turn on the news, and even when I'm listening to music. And then I have to listen to the gynocentric news. How somehow she wasn't responsible. Somehow she didn't make that baby, you did. Somehow she never spread her legs. Somehow her husband died, was murdered, but it wasn't her fault. We've got a saying, an old saying from the 50s. It's the butler did it. Why did the butler did it? Because he's the closest man. It could have never been the female because of gynocentrism, because of stupid males, because of males with brains the size of their penis, this big. And we let it happen as Mgtows, and we don't scream loud enough. And we scream plenty, and it goes one in one ear and out the other. It goes right through those peanut-sized brains of those men. And then I have to hear in Mgtow, "Oh, man, you guys are shaming other men." Sometimes other men need to be shamed. We got names for them. We got a lot of names for them. White knight, simp, beggars, cackling hyenas, guys that would throw another guy under the bus in a second. Them are real things, real deeds men do. These are just words which I articulate something. But they'll demonize me. And that's the new Mgtow. I don't know if that's Mgtow. I just know Mgtow when I see Mgtow. When I hear someone saying that, I heard someone say today that, oh, little girls could be red pill girls too. No, they can't because they're stupid and they have no agency. I like the old Mgtow better. I like the Barbarossa Stardust. I like the Trav style Mgtow because we don't say it lightly. We don't water it down. Validation addicts. I like that one. I'm going to start using that too. Validation addicts. Yeah, they get their validation from their exploits with the female. The hell? Are these men that Are these men that pathetic where they can't see that they're a masculine men? They got 20-inch arms. They can lift 300 pounds. They can't see that in themselves. They got to get their validation from the V. Filtered. Barbarossa would say, man, they filter everything through the female psyche. Everything's got to get filtered through that. And then you can have your masculinity after it's filtered through some fucking estrogen. No. No. Not in Mgtow. Not in Mgtow. But the new Mgtow is a little bit weird. It's a little bit off. And I know they'll grow up. I know these guys will grow up someday. Someday they'll have an idea and they'll be like, I invented that. Because they didn't get it from the beginning. Let me just stop and say hello to all you guys. I just decided to come on. I was sadly disappointed today that the Mgtowish Spear didn't do many Sunday morning podcast. It was like, oh man, they're not filling in the gap here. These guys are just gotta pick it up a little bit and fill in the gap on Sunday mornings. I don't do that no more. So how was your weekend? I had a great weekend. We had 4th of July and I watched I didn't do a 4th of July video, and then I watched the fireworks from my front porch and just sat around. And then we went to my family, we celebrate with a pig roast a couple days the Saturday after. So we had a pig roast and I ate delicious pig, and all the families that go to it, they all chip in and they make wonderful. There was 3 types of beans and then 4 types of potatoes and then 5 kinds of macaroni and cheese. And for a fat guy like me, that's like freaking heaven, you know? So it was a beautiful long weekend. And today we went to our favorite pizza shop. It was nice. It was a very nice weekend for me. And we got one pizza shop that actually makes good pizza. The other one makes good pizza, but they don't deliver. Can you imagine that? A pizza shop that doesn't deliver? So it was it was beautiful weather too. It rained a little. My tomato plants are doing so great. It's perfect weather for tomato. I don't know if they're going to get bottom rot because of all the rain this year, but I'm trying to keep that from happening. And I hope you guys all enjoyed. I'll approve that. I don't know what that message is. Yeah, I hope you guys had a great weekend. It was wonderful. Well, now I know my buddies down there in Australia, they're dealing with winter now, and winter sucks. But it was I looked at the weather down there, and I had a riff here. It wasn't that bad. It was in the mid-50s all week, huh? And that's kind of nice. So down under and down at the bottom of the states of America, they're dealing with winter weather, but it was nice here, and I enjoyed the weekend. Pig roasts are always a blast. And that was it. And it was probably the best day I had this week because I really didn't see no gynocentrism. Everybody's acting normal. I could be my normal self and just deal with people, how people come at me and everything. I didn't see a lot of garbage. There wasn't a lot of stupid people doing stupid things. But then I get home and turn on the TV or the radio or turn on the news, and it's just filled with awful narratives of how awful men are. And how the women, they just can't. I mean, we're so terrible that we're just terrible men. No, we're not. No, we're not. But that's the narrative in the news, and that's gynocentrism, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. So I hope everything's going well for everybody out there, and it's going well over here. I'm enjoying. I'm going to put the electric motor on my bike probably at the end of this month. So I'm going to have some videos of the electric bike. I bought a mid drive electric motor, and I'm going to put that on the bike. I'm doing the other bike too. I don't know which one I'm going to put it on. I bought two new bikes, and I was out riding today for a little bit. And I like to ride twice a day now for my knees, and keep them flexible. And it's beautiful out there. You can see by the rosy complexion of my beautiful face. Oh God. Just traveling. So that was I know, it's just funny. So I'm going to put the mid-drive motor on there. They're built in Australia, the mid-drive motors, and I didn't know they even had them until I was looking. And the whole package is like $460, $500, and you get the battery with it. It's a 36-volt battery that I'm going to buy for an assist drive on the bike, and then I can go longer distances. And that's almost scary, me going longer distances on my pedal bike every day. But that's the way Mgtows do things. We just, kind of have a favorite hobby, and bicycling is my favorite hobby, even though I'm a fat guy and it kind of looks weird. But but that's okay, because I can be myself nowadays. I don't have to be something for a woman. I don't have to be Mr. Macho for a woman. I don't have to be Mr. Going to the gym every day so some woman looks at me. I don't care if a woman looks at me. I don't care what they're doing altogether. I don't care about I don't care about feminism. Did you hear what that bastard said? He doesn't care about feminism. That's going to be a crime today too. I've been watching that in the news, and the way some of those people spin that is like, you don't care about feminism? You don't care about the little ladies? You're a bastard. We're going to put you in jail. I think they would if they could. Did you hear the stuff that came out of that guy's mouth? Jeez. Son of a bitch. Son of a bitch. I don't know. I just look around this world, and since the inception of Mgtow in 2004 to now, I think it's getting worse, guys. I actually do think it's getting worse, and you would think Mgtow was having this huge impact on the world. We're not having no impact on the world, and I think that our biggest enemy might be men's rights that is run by a bunch of women. And them guys are doing absolutely nothing. and things keep getting worse and worse and worse. And you got to say, well, who's to blame on this thing? And I think we're all culpable a little bit. We're not saying it loud enough. We're not saying it strong enough. There's not enough men. The chest up on these other guys, these white knights, these pussy beggars, these cackling hyenas, these simps, these whatever they are. We got to start saying it stronger, because it seems to be getting worse. I don't know if there's estrogen in the water. I think there is. I have to buy a test kit. I bought a filter, so it's not going to get through to me. So I don't start thinking that way. But I think they're putting estrogen in the water, and they're putting estrogen in a lot more things. And I think they should ban estrogen. Jesus, just keep it away from us. But it seems to be a growing problem now. And I don't know if it's what they're taught in school, or how they're taught to write in the newspapers, or the judge's opinion. I watched a video of a judge going to put a guy in jail and it wasn't even his kid. It wasn't even his kid. He said, if you don't pay child support for this other guy's kid, you're going to go to jail. And he threatened him. And I thought, man, that guy deserves a freaking hammer. Honest, that judge deserves a fucking hammer upside his head. And I would be glad to do it. I got one specially for, I got one. That guy doesn't deserve to be a judge. He's a fucking moron. Some of the cases I see coming out of the courts, I'm like, Jesus Christ. How do these guys think like that? How do they get that warped thinking in them? our laws. LGBT. Do they have LGBT classes? I don't. Not around here. I don't think they're. I would hope they don't. God, I would have to end that. If they had LGBT classes, I would have to end that. I'd be down there with a picket sign in my fist. I'd have to hit somebody, probably go to jail. I got in trouble for yelling at the teachers down there at this school. It's Helen Steiner Rice School. I was taking a friend's kid to school one day, and I noticed that it was Helen Steiner Rice School, and she was a writer and a piece writer, a poetry writer, and but you looked on the mascot. The mascot was Little Boy, the nuclear bomb. So I was, who the fuck did that? I had to go into school and say, "Are you guys fucking crazy? Are you guys fucking crazy?" It's like, you're gonna have to leave. I says, your fucking mascot's a nuclear bomb, and your name of your school is Helen Steiner Rice School. It's like, what, are you fucking stupid? But that's the kind of education these kids are getting. It's cognitive dissonance. Everything's split. It's like you get a little bit of truth and a lot of crazy, a little bit of truth and a lot of fucking crazy, a little bit of truth and more crazy. And they keep piling that crazy on our kids, and they wonder why this world is not normal. I think there should be a Mgtow class right about 5th grade. Yeah, judges are criminally projecting their filth extinct on innocent men and love abusing them. Yeah, they are. We're just not saying it loud enough or strong enough, and we're not sticking up for our rights enough, because when you go into court and you have to go through that, and I've been through it, they violate four of your your constitutional rights as a man. They violate 4 of them, maybe 5. I thought it was 5. I'm pretty sure it's 4. A matter of fact, I'm certain that you become a slave and you're indentured. You're an indentured servant, and you can go to debtor's prison. And I thought those 3 things were not in our country. But if you're a man, you could be a slave. If a man, they could put you in debtor's prison. They could make you into an indentured servant. Yeah, that's 100. It is. It's 100. I had a gripe yesterday. I was yelling at I usually smoke the Camels, but we have tariff problems now. And they raised the price of Camels to $7, almost $8, and just a couple months ago they were 568. So I said, "How is you raise it $2? How'd you raise that? Let me know." And he goes, "Oh, there's tariffs." And then I was like thinking about that, so I went and I looked up. Turkish tobacco and tariffs, and it come to find out that Turkey's got a tariff on our tobacco. We don't have a tariff on their tobacco. We removed those tariffs, and the price of these cigarettes, when I looked at the state minimum, should have stayed the same. So people are out there price gouging, and using the excuse that there's tariffs. There's a lot of price gouging going on, and I think that's something that maybe I'm going to look into and make a complaint about this week, because it pissed me off because I couldn't get my brand. After 9/11, George Bush, he did a marvelous job of negotiating that. And the first thing George Bush Jr. said, and this is one of the good things he did, he said there will be no price tag, because 2 weeks after that, McDonald's and Burger King were both going to try to charge you 25 cents for the ketchup packages and for extra pickles. And they were going to start driving the price up on everything because 9/11 just happened. And it was an excuse to start, hey, we got problems, And George Bush said, no, there will be no price tag. And that's from the convenience store to to McDonald's, to everything. You start raising a price and you're going to go to fucking jail. Nowadays, we got a lot of price gouging and nobody seems to want to say anything about it. And yeah, there is no tariff on these. But it'll take a couple people to say something. I don't think they're really going to care anyways, because it's not like I can afford $1 million to take the cigarette. It's not even the cigarette people. I suppose it's the state just did it and said, hey, we'll just take $2 more, and that'll be groovy for us because we can drive around in Escalades then. I seen 2 city cars today. It was government cars, and they're coming down the highway, and there are 2 Escalades, 2 black Escalades. You know how that is, and it was tan Escalades. They were the tan Escalades, so they're probably military vehicles. And I was looking at them, and I was like, "Fuck, you spent a whole lot of money when you could have made that a fucking Jeep or something." And but man, it's nice to ride around in an Escalade on my dime, isn't it? It's like son of a bitch. So you could take the extra $2 you made on my pack of cigarettes and buy yourself an Escalade if you get enough of us. And that's what they do. Taxes are out of control, and tariffs are out of control. And the American people got to start saying no. Cost about $10 a carton. Yeah. I looked at the state minimum for the cigarettes on that brand was the retail price was $68. $69 for the Camels, and then the state so that would come out to like $6.90 a pack, and if you buy them at the wholesaler they go down, and if you buy them through the regular wholesaler it goes down. So it's about, he makes the guy at the store makes about $10 on the Camels. Now, if he buys Newport, they're 56, and he can get the $7 on them, and he makes about $14 to $18 with the price. So it's more advantageous for him to sell Newports than it is to sell Camels. But and then when they put that extra $2 on there, it's just raping us. It's just raping us. Now there's a 20% tax on cigarettes to begin with. In America, and then we don't want to get this thing up, and I'm sure they would like to do the thing like they do in Canada and pay for all their bills out of other people's pockets, but I don't think we'll let it go that far. I'll start importing my own. But these are the things you have to in America, you have to watch. There has to be a president that watches these things. No more price gouging. And if I think they should, if they should talk about anything in Congress, maybe that's something. Talk about what the concerns of the little people are. Is like that's why we put them there, so they can talk about our concerns, not their concerns. And price gouging would definitely be one of those. I would think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they want to talk about transsexual bathrooms because that's much more important. I actually seen one of those bathrooms today. It didn't bother me at all. I went in there and I just peed all over the seat and went out. And the Starbucks bathroom. It's up to every Mgtow to just walk in the Starbucks bathroom and pee on the seat and just walk out. I got in trouble for saying that the other day. Somebody was like, "Joe, that's awful," and I says, "No, it's not. It's perfect. It's what us Mgtows do. That we're protesting that we don't get our own John anymore." There's a fruit fly. I had a big flying something in the house today. I was tracking them down. You get you grab the newspaper or whatever you have around, and you're just like, oh, and I was swinging at him, and I kept missing. Finally, I grabbed him with my hand and threw him out the door. It was some big bug. It was like that big. I don't know what it was. Some crazy nuclear Ohio bug or something. I don't know what it was. It was like, yeah, bug removal. So it's midsummer, July. I got to get Dougie a flea collar. He doesn't stay outside a lot now, but I got to get him a flea collar now because from July to August is when the fleas start coming out, and I don't want him to catch his delicate little skin on his delicate little body. And I don't want to catch that. So that's my project. Sometime this week, I have to pick flea collars out at the Hertz or whatever they are, flea collars for a dog, and I get him some powder his ass down. He's so delicate, Dougie. Oh man, oh man. Democracy is dead. Philosophy is outcast. Yeah, yeah, philosophy. I wanted to talk about that. I hear a lot of the. I was going to go on this week, and I had a video all made up, and I just didn't feel like talking about philosophy. What I was going to talk about is scientific philosophy, or the philosophy of science, compared to ontology or etymology, or there's several different brands of philosophy, and but the thing is, when I ask Mgtows, and I noticed it this week, everybody goes, Mgtow's a philosophy, and I'll go, okay, what is the philosophy? And they'll go, it's like, don't get married. They have no fucking clue what the philosophy of Mgtow is, and I explained it around here. It's deconstruction, and it's you start with an existential crisis. Something happens that alerts you, and then you deconstruct everything you've learned, and then you reconstruct your life properly, and you bring truth to your life, and then your existential crisis because you bring truth to your life, and now you know better, and you can run your life. You can run your life a little more efficiently with truth rather than a bunch of fucking lies that they tell us. But that's basically the philosophy in a nutshell. I mean, you can talk about it forever, but most of the guys don't even, they'll say it's a philosophy. But my argument this week was, what kind of philosophy do we have? Is it an ontological? Is it a metaphysical? And a lot of metaphysics was coming in. A lot of the metaphysics of being like religion and things that aren't real, we'll argue about. We're arguing about points and stuff like that. And but I always thought Mgtow was more of the philosophy of science. We take certain biological things that we know about females, and then we apply them, and then we say, well, this is a truth, and this is how it works out from there. Like sexual cryptis, females hide their when they're fertile. So you can take that idea. It's very biological. It's a scientific fact that they're sexually cryptic, and then you work your way out from there. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean for a male? How does that influence you and stuff like that? We talk about all those things, and there's a lot of things, Gynocentrism, I think, would be the behavior of a female. Hypergamy is more scientific. It has to do with resource acquisition and more of Darwinism and resource acquisition. But the gynocentrism one, the propensity for the male to err on the side of the female, that's the one that always kind of, that's one that we can't kind of hammer down. Why do males err on the side of the female? For access to resources? Does it become so ingrained in the male that the only way he's going to get access to the female resource with the only one they have is a split V? Is their vag? They're sitting on a gold mine. They know that. And that's a simp mine down there. Them hills are, yeah. I would go on, but no. But gynocentrism is the only one that takes a purely metaphysical view of the female. And it's not about the female; it's about us men. It's about our propensity to err on the side of females. It's about society's propensity to err on the side of female. Why is that? Why they commit crime at 50%? But if you Simpson's paradox, they would convert the numbers and they would say, no, men commit crime more. No, it's 50-50. It can only be, we're all human. Women commit violent crimes towards men 50% of the time. It's proven. Several studies have proven that. But Simpson's paradox would say, no, men commit crime. The narrative is spun on men are bad. It must be the men that did this to them. Somehow you did it. You forced that little girl to steal something. You forced her to have a baby. You penetrated her. Oh man. And no, she opened up her legs by her very accord. She made a decision. She acted on her own behalf and did that. And as soon as women start taking responsibility for the little things, they'll start taking responsibility for their jobs, their lives, their education, and all those things. And it'll just be a roll down effect. But as long as you got court systems that that put men in jail for not wanting to raise another man's baby, for fuck's sakes, uh, as long as we have court systems that do that, this thing ain't never gonna work. We might as well walk away. And that's what Mgtow says. We'll just walk the F away from that stuff because, man, you guys are absurd. And I wonder if they see that I don't think they can even see the absurdity of how they act. Hello, my friend Whiskey. I was pulling a whiskey today and doing a late nighter because I seen a news article and it pissed me off. I was gonna try. I was trying so hard not to do Mgtow for a whole week. Just kind of be groovy, just kind of be like a normal guy and not have to think about it. But it can't happen. Once you're a Mgtow, you're just dragged into that. I got him. Oh yeah, I got him. I got him. One of those little fruit flies. I should have threw them outside. Them are good for them little fruit flies are good for your garden. They inhibit parasitic bugs that would parasitically invade your vine plants. I won't tell you how they do them. It's very, it's very. Those little fruit flies. They plant their eggs inside of the other bugs' carcasses, and then they kill them. And so it's what do you call that? It's just a mimicry. It's hostile mimicry or something like that. And they just lay and then their little ones eat away at the carcass of the invading bug, which would kill your tomato plant or your vine, mostly vine plants. I don't know if you ever seen them. The bugs get in them, and you should always have. What you do is you put a piece of raw meat by your garden, and then all the fruit flies go around them, and then those go out from there, and then they start going into all the bugs in your garden, and they start killing them. So it's a natural pesticide, so you don't have to spray any poisons on your garden. And probably those poisons probably have estrogen in them. That's what. Don't spray estrogen on your garden. Hello, whoosh whoosh, my friend. Hello, Whiskey. Hello, Aaron. Hello, Jetty. Hello, anybody that's around. So I just thought I'd come on and talk about normal shit today and not do philosophy or anything, but I always end up doing a little bit of philosophy. So my question this week with philosophy, and I'll probably cover that this week, is what kind of philosophy is Mgtow? Can anybody actually, short of a lot of you guys and me, explain? Because I've noticed that like everybody's so gun ho to say Mgtow's a philosophy. It's not a group. It's not a. It's not. It's what do they say? It's not a. It's not a movement. It can't possibly. You can be both. You can be a philosophy and a movement. Existentialism was a philosophy and a movement. If you look it up, it's just list of movements, and it'll tell you all the movements that have happened in the 19th century. So it is a movement. I don't care what they say. That's stupid. That's stupid thinking. But what is the philosophy? Is it a scientific, or is it a blend of scientific philosophy, ontology, and epistemology? I think it's mainly all three: epistemology, the truth, knowledge, what we can learn about our situations in life, the epistemological truth about that, and ontology, what is facts, what's fiction, what's real, what's not real, and metaphysics a little bit if you believe in spirituality. I know a lot of the guys. A lot of the guys want to talk about spirituality of things and the metaphysics. We could talk about ideas, and that's not tangent objects, you know, or objectable objects. So, but what was interesting to me is the science stuff, the philosophy of science often gets overlooked now, and they don't want to talk about the biology of the female anymore. We're not allowed to somehow. That's what my video was taken down, uh, because I was talking about the biology of what happens when boy meets girl. And I wasn't saying it cutesy cutesy, like, oh, there's birds and there's bees and there's, because that makes no freaking sense at all. When you tell a kid that, you're just, it's more of that confuse the fuck out of them and tell them lies. Jesus Christ. I mean, probably up to the 1970s, we knew less about our own gender and our own the gender dynamics and the biology of humans than we did about rats or mice or anything. We knew more about rats than we know about humans. We humans refuse to look at ourselves, and that's what Mgtow's about. It's about looking at yourself, doing an inspection about what you are, what your place on this planet is, and being honest about that. And then you go, oh, maybe I wasn't such a great guy. Maybe I needed a little simp forgiveness. And you're all forgiven. Go your own way. You're all forgiven. And once I start realizing that, I can be a better person. And it came with an existential crisis. Oh, at least I had some questions about what I was told. You said that shit was going to work out. And I was thinking about that the other day, and I was doing a count in my head during the day of every single friend I've ever had in this world that got married. And I don't have, at 50, upper 50s now, 56 years old, I don't have a single friend. I don't have a single friend that was still married. And that's a lot of people. Every person I know from high school that I grew up with that got married, none of them are married anymore. Not a single one. And I was trying to think of one. You're screwed in this thing when you're trying to think of one person that made it. And I hear these stupid, just do it yourself. Think of if you're a little aged now. Think if you know one person. Ask any old guy. Do you know one person that stayed married all their life? One, just give me one. Maybe back in the day of my mother and father, but if you have one friend that was born after 1972, say, that that is over 40 or something, and do you know one person that marriage lasted? I don't. I couldn't tell. I was doing the count in my head, and I was like, he got divorced, Bill got divorced, John got divorced, Bobby and Timmy both got divorced, and Carl died, and a lot of these people are going to die too, and that's a type of divorce. That's the best type of divorce, when you just die on them because they don't get nothing then. And you don't have to argue in a court. I know that's why men commit suicide. It's like, I'm gonna screw this. I'm going total negation. I'm just gonna get rid of myself. I'm gonna negate myself. That's what Camus would say. I'm gonna negate myself. I was trying to go through the rest of the Rebel, and then I do what I always do. You ever read a book and you're trying to I'm trying to read through the rest of the book, and then I was like, shit, I'm going back to chapter 4, and then I redid chapter 4, and I redid chapter 5, and I redid chapter 6, and then I went back again and I reread it again, and I was supposed to be trying to finish the book up, and I was like, no, I'm going to go back a couple things because I like what it says in those chapters. He does a whole series on the Marquis de Sade, and the philosophy of the Marquis de Sade. And the Marquis de Sade, he was an interesting person, but they made him. And he's like Mgtow's. We weren't born Mgtows, we were made Mgtows by events, because by cause means by cause. Someone caused it. Mgtow is by cause, and I wish I didn't have to be a Mgtow in this world. And I always say that. I wish the world was a great place to live in for men, but it's not. So I had to go Mgtow. And it was by cause. What caused this? What caused this? I could tell you some horror stories, and I think you guys get really sick of hearing those horror stories that I have. And basically, most of it, I hear the young guys, that can't possibly be true. No, yeah, it is true. They're like, no, I'm going to try to get married. The Vox kid, he's like, man, I want to get married. And I was like, you're a fool. You're stupid. Because I don't know a single guy that got married at my age and marriage lasted. And that's 100%. No, I stopped caring about a lot. I don't really get a lot of trolls since I took my new attitude. I used to get a lot more trolls. They used to troll me all the time. But since I took my new attitude of never argue with them and never pay attention to them, I don't get many trolls anymore. Once in a while, there was that whole band of females that used to come around. I used to bother the hell out of me, but then I just disregarded. I went on the girl's show, and then I just was a reasonable person, and then she went away because she wasn't going to get drama from me. Just go away. I said, and it happened. It was magic. Being nice to people is magic. When you don't want to play games of drama games. I don't play drama games anymore, and I don't get too many trolls. I don't get too many comments anymore. I used to get like a lot of comments on all my videos, but not anymore. I guess I'm just not an arguable person anymore. I just don't care that much anymore. I don't care enough to argue. I wish I would have took that attitude when I was like 26 with my wife when I was married. I was like, I don't care enough to argue. Please leave. And she would have. That was the thing. I didn't know that secret. That's the secret of that's like thought be gone spray. You just go, I don't care enough to have an argument with you. Please leave if you want to argue. And that saves your life. That's the truest thing I'm going to tell you today. If any guy, that's the truest thing I can tell any guy. Just I don't care. There's no fucks to give here. Just do what you want, and I'll do what I want. But don't complain when I do what I want. And that's what the problems come in. They're like, oh, it's my body, my choice. I'm going to do what I want. And I was like, okay, you go do that. But I'm going to do what I want too. And that's not give you any money. Oh, whoa, that's crazy. No, it's my body, my choice. I don't have to be a slave. That's my body. Slavery, it's my body thing. And I don't have to. They don't like them kind of things. It's simple. Yeah, it's simple. I don't have to give you no money. I don't have to take care of you anymore. I don't have to do those things. I can go fuck around. That was my attitude after she said. My wife gave me the best information of my life when she's like, she at the end of our marriage, she's like, I'll do whatever I want with my body. It's my body, my choice. And I said, fucking exactly. And don't ever ask me for a single thing ever again, because I'm going to do what I want, just like you. And she was like, oh no, I get a slave. And I said, no, you don't. Nobody gets a slave. Everybody hates me for that. So what? I don't want to be a slave. What's so hard to understand about that? I'll die for that. And I think most of you guys would too. You would die if someone tried. It's like, no, nobody gets a slave in America. And we had a big war about that. And that's usually what happens when people try to put other people in slavery. There's a big war. It happens all the time. Because the slaves don't like to be slaves. And I think we're getting to that point in America too, that a lot of the problems in America is simply because of the gender dynamics and the men waking up and going, hey, I don't want to be a slave no more. I don't want to be a slave no more. And we're going to fight about that. Yep. I wish I was a little younger because I would have enjoyed that fight. I would have enjoyed that fist fight. I can't fist fight anymore, really. I'd get my ass kicked. I'm old, and all you'd have to do is push me over. But unless I got a hold of you, I'm slow. Yeah, I'm slow now. It's like a fucking turtle. But no, I wish I was younger. I wish I would have. I wish men would have took that problem where I didn't have to hand this problem down to the younger people, and I wish men would have woke up a little earlier. But I don't know what the catalyst was for waking up. What forced the red pill and Mgtow into this into existence. I just know it happened somewhere around the year 2000, 1998, 2000. Men started saying, "Hey, I'm not putting up. I don't want to be a slave. I'm not going to get married. I'm not going to do that. It just sucks." It does. It sucks. Any man that would get married nowadays, I just consider him a jackass. It's like, man, you are so stupid. You are so stupid. Ain't gonna work out the way you think. But yeah, they'll still keep trying it because the government needs slaves. 20 to 30% of every society is made up of slaves. Ask any expert. Uh, you can reword the name slave to worker, to low class, low privileged worker, but it's still a slave. and and that's mostly us men. We'll be the steel workers. We'll be the log cutters. We'll be the guys on the fishing boats, putting ourselves in danger. We'll be the guys working in the steel mills and the electricians and the plumbers and all those jobs that they don't want or they can't do. We'll work our backs to death in warehouses and stuff like that. And some poor Pepsi truck driver has to lift 1,000 cases of Pepsi a day, and that won't be a woman. I can guarantee you that. Uh, there ain't no women loaders at Pepsi or Coca Cola or Seven Up or RC or Dr. Pop or Dr. Whiskey's favorite, Dr. Pepper, which is probably good. There ain't no woman touching your Dr. Pepper whiskey. But that ain't gonna happen. But them are the slaves that we talk about. If we gotta be slaves, why do we gotta be double slaves? Why do we gotta be indentured to a female after we have to do all the labor anyways? Just waking up, Orange Partisan. It's a one-sided coin. Yeah, it's a lose-lose for men. But men are gonna, we're gonna pull through. We're gonna say no, no more. We like equality, just the way you were talking about it. That's so screwed up too. It's like you were talking about equality. Yeah, we want some of that. I like Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper is great. I had a buddy that he drank Dr. Pepper. Oh, what do we call him? I can't remember. We called it his name and juice. That was his name and juice. I don't want to say his name on the air. And that was his juice. But Dr. Pepper's good. I try not to drink. I've been drinking diet stuff. This stuff sucks. It really does. Diet pop. I was trying to cut my carbs out, and so my knee will heal up, and then I can go on riding my bike and doing those things that I like to do. And if you haven't pedaled a bike lately, try it out. It's the most freedom you're going to have in your week. I love riding my bike. But I'm going to buy an electric motor for my bike so I can go longer distances. It's just and pedal at the same time. I can get my exercise and go long distances if they'll allow it in the state of Ohio. I don't know if I have to buy a special tag for the back of my pedal bike if I got a motor on it, or they give you a ticket. So I'm gonna have to buy that. I have to give them $28 for a tag. Can you believe that? So I can pedal my bike. Jesus. What they won't tax you on now, pretty soon they're going to tax your underwear and your toilet paper. They will. They'll tax your food, and then they'll tax your house, and then they'll tax everything. You want a west wall, you got to pay tax on the west wall, the east wall, the south side, or you can have 3 walls. If it's open, you don't have to pay taxes on that wall. They're going way too far. I think it's up to Americans and up to people basically all around the world to say no more. No, no, this shit's gone crazy. I don't care what political party they're in. It's got to end. It's got to end. But force rules. Force rules. That's what my buddy says to me all the time. He says, force rules. They got the guns. Oh, we got guns too. We just got to get mad enough to say, hey, this thing's moving. It's moving to Second Amendment. Oklahoma, they're done. They're done in Oklahoma. And the Bundy Ranch. I was trying to think of that guy they killed's name the other day. I couldn't remember it. It was an Irish guy. They killed an Irish guy. And if they know everything about Irish people, you never kill one of us. we don't forget that. But yeah, they want to stop all that stupid shit. They want to tax them on their on the they want to tax the people on the waste the companies are putting out and say, hey, nah, nah, goodbye underwear. Hello. I'm a hippie. I haven't worn underwear in like 30 years, and they're not going to tax them. I'm a fucking hippie. I know. You didn't need to know that. Good night, guys. Okay, you take care. Success endeavors. Successful endeavors. I like that name. That's very creative. I like creative names for your avatars. I was just doing this because I was pissed off by the news and I couldn't have a whole week without making a Mgtow video, a whole week without me getting upset about some gynocentric problem or something. I think it's an impossibility now. If you're Mgtow and you try to pull away a little bit, you just can't do it because it's going to drag you back in because there's so much of a fight that needs to be had. And they're going to keep doing their stupid shit. And we got to grow. We got to grow. How are we going to do that? But that's our problem. We got to figure that out, start working together on this thing. And I think I'm almost done with this podcast. I vented. That's what it was about. It's about me venting about stupid news, about gynocentrism, is how they can't even write a single article right. It's like, man, if I was the editor there, I would have just ran out there and just yelled at them. Like, this story, get the fucking title right. It goes in, it has a time tense thing that happens, and one thing precedes another. And that's what happened. If you go back to look at the beginning of the video, I was complaining about the gynocentrism in the news, and a woman killed her, Ohio woman killed her husband and did it with by proxy help of a male. And it didn't read that way. It was like male killed and the poor little girl was just incidental to that. No, if it was her husband, she did it. She employed it. She manipulated the situation. She employed by epoxy help from another male. And that's the simp out there. That's the white knights, and them are the like, I would just love to be a fly on the wall and hear those stories. Like, he was so bad. He was just horrible. He took care of me all my life. He was so horrible. It was like I was locked up inside of here. He fed me. Man, I didn't want to eat all that food he fed me, and that roof that he put over my head was horrible. Like, I would like to hear all those stories about how horrible the guy was that she killed. And she killed him. I wish the news would just be honest about those things. I'm going to look up that. I got a man-woman myth video where he clearly explains about how the news always does that gynocentrism in the news and how they do it and the reasons they do it for and all that. But I don't want to go into it. So I'm about done here. I'm hoping you guys are having a great weekend, and I just stopped by to say hello. Hello. And Mgtow's got to grow because this thing ain't getting any better. And it seems like they're producing more white knights, more horrible judges, more horrible cops with with pussy and gynocentrism on their mind. And this thing keeps getting worse and worse and worse, even though we keep saying, geez, you guys are fucked up in your heads. And you know, get some good sense. And but I think it's getting worse, and we got to get bigger. We got to grow because we're the only ones. This is our job. Who else is going to do it, man? Who else is going to build it? It's just up to us. So it's up to each and every one of you to get out there, do your part, and that's all we can do is try to change it. And then at the end of our lives, at least we can say, hey, at least that was something positive in this world. In a world full of negation and absurdity, at least you were something positive, and that's why you Mgtow, I guess. And with that, I'm going to close this thing down and say, thanks for being Mgtow. Mgtow.